Welcome, everybody, to Open Office Hours with myself, Cory Vance, financial consultant. Just to let you know what this is about, a lot of people, a lot of professionals, a lot of experts don't really feel approachable to a lot of people. And I've found that when I've worked with or tried to approach other professionals in my life, I didn't want that to be the kind of practice that I operate. I want to be really accessible to you. As much as possible. And so I actually was Jon, my guest here, who I'll introduce in a minute. It was actually his idea that I come up with and present this kind of open office hours thing. So we'll get into that with him in a bit. It's just a low pressure way for you to get to know a financial consultant and the expert guests that I bring on. So that's what Open Office Hours is. Myself, I am a financial consultant. I do financial planning and I give financial advice. But really what I do is I help business owners to protect and grow your business and portfolio or non-business assets, your whole wealth, as two parts of one holistic financial picture. From my own experience as a business owner, it's tough to keep them separate. A lot of times you intermingle your personal and business finances, which isn't always good, but it's pretty common. So why don't we just look at them as one whole financial picture and deal with them as such? That's my approach to things. And if we do that properly, we can leverage one off the other and both can grow bigger, faster, safer. You can really live the lifestyle that you went into business to live. You can get those benefits that you wanted out of owning your own business. And at the end of your business career, so to speak, when it's ready to retire, ready to sell, whatever you want to do with your business, you have the best chance to get a successful exit and live that ongoing lifestyle that you're looking for. So that's what I do, and that's what Open Office Hours is. My special guest tonight is Jon Morrison. He's coming to us out of Vancouver. I'm in Calgary currently. I work in British Columbia, Alberta, and Saskatchewan, but I'm based out of Calgary. Jon, as I said, is in Vancouver area. So Jon is a StoryBrand Certified guide. We'll talk more about why that's special to me as we go, but we're here to talk about Jon. As a StoryBrand Certified guide, he helps small businesses just like you to get your message clear and to create marketing collateral, websites, taglines, all these different kinds of things we'll get into to help you get your message across clearly to your potential clients, to your clients, and to grow your business. So welcome, Jon. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Cory. It's great to be here. I appreciate
Awesome.
that introduction about why you're there to serve people. It's very cool to be a part of Open Office Hours, knowing that this was the way we decided that it would be a great way for you to serve business owners. It's just dropping in to their lives and inviting them into yours and hanging out. It's a privilege to be here and to serve your clients in some way.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And thank you in advance for the clients of mine that you're going to help as we go along. So maybe I just gave a brief introduction of who you are and what you do. Maybe you want to give a little fuller explanation because I know there's a lot more to tell.
Yeah, I always wonder what part of my story is interesting. I mean, I could go back to when I was born in the early days with who my parents were and stuff. I just think that's pretty boring, other than the fact that they were entrepreneurial. We always just had entrepreneurism in our home. I remember my first job was cutting grass. We found a lawnmower at a garage sale for $10. It was barely working and it didn't even make it through the first yard. It blew up and it was smoking and we couldn't even get through half the guy's grass. So that was totally awkward. And then when hockey cards came out, we opened up our garage, my brother, my cousin, and I, and had a hockey card store. And that was just the waters we grew up in. It was totally fine. So many parents could easily squash that, inviting strangers into your garage and stuff. But my parents seemingly loved it. I fought against it for a while, the entrepreneur side. I worked in a nonprofit sector for a while. About 10 years ago, the door closed there and I needed to feed my kids and we had a Vancouver mortgage to pay. I heard about this book called Building a Story Brand. I read it and loved it. I actually read it a second time through and I looked and there was this thing at the end of the book. It said, if you want to work with a StoryBrand guide, we're more than happy to team you up with one of our people. And I'm like, who are these people? This is a curious subsector of society, these StoryBrand guides. And I looked and there was none in Canada. And so there was a handful across the world. I put my hand up and went to Nashville, got certified with Don. This was 6 years ago. Don Miller, the author of the book. And ever since then, there's 700 StoryBrand guides in the world. So the demand has continued to stay steady, but the supply of guides has gone up a ton. It's an interesting job and role, but ultimately, I just want to help small businesses grow. I want to help entrepreneurs, just like I saw my parents struggle, just like I've owned struggles as a small business owner. I just love to help them and kind of learn the stuff, learn the stuff that I've learned. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about that tonight as questions come up, and let's chat about whatever it is that you think will help people when it comes to StoryBrand.
Awesome. It's funny, while you're talking, I'm thinking about why StoryBrand is important to me. I actually used to be a StoryBrand certified guide for 2 years, and my path there is a little bit different, and I'll maybe go into that another time. I don't want to take away from your time here, but I remember when I got certified, I'm like, oh, well, yeah, who else is in Canada? I look up, and yours was the first name to come up. And I think there was maybe 2 or 3 others, and that was it in all of Canada at the time. And now there's a whole bunch. So that's StoryBrand has a long and storied involvement for me. So that's really cool.
I think guides and the stuff that you're doing as financial advisor, I think it's very similar in the sense, like, we both have a passion to help small businesses grow. We just help them in different ways, right? You're looking at the full picture, especially the business owner's financial plan, which at the heart of every small business is a small business owner. And I think if that ain't right, then none of the marketing, none of the website, all that stuff, the messaging matters. If internally it's just a bag of ashes inside the heart of the small business owner.
That's right.
So yeah, we have to be working. Both of us have to team up to help. And that's why I think they're complementary, what you do as a financial advisor and your work as a StoryBrand guide. There's probably a lot of overlap in your mindset of how you serve your client.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to speak to that briefly, when I was a small business owner years before StoryBrand, I realized I had certain deficiencies in my experience and skills, and certain challenges kept coming up in my business with people and different things. So I went looking for guides to help me figure some of that stuff out. And the people that I knew, my accountant, my lawyer, for whatever reasons, I don't hold them responsible, but they just didn't really have anyone they could point me to. And this is before what I used to call, when I was a guide, the guide economy. And this is before that, really, right? It's before Gary Vee and all these other things, right? So that's one reason why I want to help small business owners, because I didn't have that help. And most small business owners didn't go to business school. And so there's lots of ways that they need help. You said we can help them with that. So I'm happy to do that. So you mentioned you read the book. How did you come across StoryBrand? What sort of drew you to that in the first place?
Don Miller was an author. He's been an author for years, and I've loved his stuff. He had a pivot in his own journey. He went from writing memoirs to writing a business book. I picked up the book and read it, and it just so happened to be the exact time when I needed to start a business. So I loved the content because I needed it so badly. You know, as a small business owner or an entrepreneur, you have ideas, you have dreams, but at the end of the day, you need a customer to call yourself legit. You need a paying customer, which means you need to know the heart of that customer. What it is that they want, and what problem do they have? What do they need to hear from you as the business to attract those dollars, so that they'll say, like, the thing I love about capitalism is it has two thankful parties at the end, right? The person giving the money says thanks, and the person receiving the money says thanks. They're both thankful. My view of business is that we entrepreneurs, we small businesses, should be showing up in people's lives and solving problems for them. The book said that, like, that's the most important thing about your business, that you are solving a problem to help somebody to win their story. All of us wake up every day and we're the hero of a story. So I really resonate with that, because that's how I wake up. I think I'm the most important person in my life. At the end of the day, I'm accountable for my story. But when I show up and go to work, I'm actually taking on a different role. I'm taking on the role of a guide. Like you said, I'm helping people win their story instead. That's my job, to help people win now. I loved how building a story brand took that propensity we have in our hearts to be selfish, just thinking about ourselves, flips it around and says, don't be selfish when it comes to building out your website. Don't be selfish when it comes to pitching your business. Don't just talk about yourself at a networking event. Position yourself as the person who helps other people win their story.
Right.
I saw that and I said, I want to be part of that. That's my view of why God made business. I resonated with that message. So that's why I signed up and said, I can help people apply this. I think that'll be fun.
You mentioned you had a background in nonprofit. That's really a service or servant sort of role, right? Or bent towards your career. I'm sure that seems to have naturally taken a step forward 100%. For you in that sense. So for many people, they don't know the StoryBrand. You mentioned the book. The book is called Building a StoryBrand, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And really, it's around the idea of you apply the principles of story to your business, and that helps people understand it, because everyone understands what a story is, right? We all love movies or books or both. Don has created a step-by-step framework for how to talk about your business in a story format. He calls it a StoryBrand framework. What is there one part of that that's really kind of sticks out most to you in terms of its impact on helping businesses to make that transition into speaking more clearly about their business?
Great question. Because yeah, if it's that first one, if you get that right, then the whole thing will flow. And what I mean by that is if you get that, like who's the main character of the story, you got to get that right. When people understand that they're not to be the main character of their business story, but the customer is the main character, then we ask that question, well, what's that customer like? Like, who is that person? Is it all people? Are you trying to go after all 8 billion people on planet Earth? That's too big. You need to make it smaller and as small as possible, actually, without realizing that like maybe you're only selling to your mom or your kids or something, right? You need to have
Sure.
a market there. But I love the idea that we need to think of who is our niche, our target audience, because when you can speak clearly to them, you can get their attention. The reason why I learned that is because I was actually able to create and exit a company based on just focusing on a very clearly defined niche. And it wasn't one that I pursued. I was just pulled into it. So I'll maybe share a little bit of the story because it's after hours. Here we are.
Sure.
When I first became a StoryBrand guide, I created a Facebook group, and there was a group of people that just signed up right away. I guess they were looking for a freebie. That's why people join Facebook groups, right? They want a free version of some paid option. And so they wanted free advice, and I was willing to give it because I was energetic and wanting to help as many people as possible. So this chiropractor from Colorado, he joins and sees me interacting with people, helping them with their one-liner, helping them with their website, giving feedback on how they're applying StoryBrand. He's like, hey, I'm a part of a mastermind group. Would you mind joining the group? I was like, sure, I'll help out. And he goes, how much do you charge? I'm like, you know what? I'm just starting with this. I don't even know if I'd be able to help you guys enough, but I'll just join for free. Like, it's just a Zoom call. I have to walk across the room to do it. Sure. And so on the call were these 10 guys, and I just kind of was talking to them about what we're talking about tonight, about how your patient is the hero of the story. The doctor's not the hero. And they loved it. We pulled up their websites at the end of the call, and I was just like, this is too doctor centric. You need to be more patient centric. They love that. I thought I pissed them all off. But at the end of the call, we signed off, and I went over to dinner, and I said to my wife, like, you know, sorry, I'm late, but I think I just pissed off a bunch of American chiropractors. I'll never see them again. So sure enough, I get a call the next day from one of them saying, hey, I have a 10,000 person Facebook group. Would you mind being a part of this group? We have a podcast. Would you be a guest on the podcast? Another one said, I have a podcast too about chiropractic marketing. I think we'd like to talk about StoryBrand. Another one said, we do clinic gyms. Would you be a guest on my podcast? And I didn't realize that all these 10 guys on this Zoom call were all influential leaders. I just saw them as first names. Then I start getting invited to their groups. I'm on their podcast. Now I have chiropractors from all over North America calling me, asking for help. So we needed to create a product for them. My brother had a website builder. He gave it to me to use for helping chiropractors. We niched down on a few things that chiropractors need. We filled it with chiropractic content. It wasn't like all chiropractors are all the same. They're totally different. We just picked this one subset. I happen to think that they're the good guys. And we just started helping them. And then we got a strategic partner who started referring us to chiropractors. We grew the thing and then sold it last year. We were able to start and scale this business and then sell the business based on a clearly defined audience. It was only because we knew who that audience was. We knew who the hero of the story was. And we knew the problems that they had. We knew how to overcome those problems. Website creation was easy. Marketing, we knew which conferences to go to. We knew which podcasts to sponsor. We knew exactly where to go to show up, to be in front of these people. If we didn't have that clarity, we'd be completely blind trying to go to every conference, speak on every podcast, you know, just trying the shotgun approach. And it just doesn't work that way. You need to have a clearly defined niche so that you can solve the same problem in the same way to reach more people and then scale the thing. So that's why StoryBrand was so helpful for me, was because we knew exactly who the hero of the story was, and we could just talk to them and build a business around them.
I appreciate that a lot. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to work with you and have you as one of my trusted partner experts. While you may or may not know this, and the viewers may or may not know this, about 90% of businesses do not get what's called a successful exit. So either the owner gets sick or dies, or just is tired and wants to quit the business, wants to retire, and they don't get to really sell the business for anything. They might sell some assets, they might sell the building, but 9 out of 10 do not get to actually sell their business when they're done. That's really sad. I mentioned I was in business and I had some challenges I had some really great successes. I made a lot of money in that business, but I did not have a successful exit. And that's on me. My issue wasn't not knowing who my client was, because my client was generally older people who needed a hearing aid. That was pretty simple for me. But my issues were cash flow, budgeting, managing people, and all these other things. I say that to say that, it's really getting your story, getting your marketing, getting your client really clear on who you're speaking to. They're
Yeah.
all little parts of what goes into a successful business. I really appreciate what you have to offer to people to help them run their business successfully, grow it, but you've been through an exit. So you can speak to that when it comes time with them as well. That's really fantastic. Now, I did want to touch on one thing, because it's easy to get, we know the lingo, and it's easy to get just rolling and kind of forget that other people don't. You mentioned something called a one-liner. Maybe you can just briefly explain what that is for people so that they know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, maybe a crass way to talk about a one-liner is, what if Elon Musk was to come up to you and say, hey, the first tweet from X, right, his new version of Twitter, right? He holds his phone open and says, you get to do the first tweet about your business on this new branded platform called X. We all know it's still Twitter, but it's called X. And he offers you that opportunity. And you can say anything, but you only have around 250 characters. And this is an opportunity of a lifetime. But if you flub that, this is a huge missed opportunity. And do you have anything ready? It's maybe not going to happen that Elon Musk will give you that opportunity, but every email we send, we have the opportunity to give a little one-liner. On our website, we have an opportunity to give a little one-liner. On our signage, we can give a one-liner. And this is just an easy way to talk about what you do in a way that people say, okay, I think I get what these guys do. From one of my companies, Get Clear, we just say marketing that helps you reach more customers and grow your business. These guys are marketing consultants. They're going to help you reach more customers and grow your business. And that's what the company does. Right? So that's just one way. That's just one example. Yours would be create a sellable business that funds your lifestyle through your lifetime. I totally get it, right? I know exactly what it is that you do, or at least the outcome that you offer and the way you're going to get there. That's essentially what a one-liner is. It's your little Elon Musk tweet that you can have to tell the world what you do in a very clear, concise way.
Cool. That's awesome. As we're talking, I'm thinking about people growing their business, eventually selling it or whatever. Even if someone wants to hand it off to their kids, or maybe go public, or there's lots of different ways to quote unquote exit your business, right? What I want to dig into is, as part of the StoryBrand ecosystem, there's tools beyond just getting your messaging clear, right? Which is really important. But there's other tools, there's other parts of running a business successfully. I know that there's something they call Flight School, which is basically a guide to help people understand the key different parts of running a business and how to do those successfully. Maybe you could expand on that a little bit and tell us a bit about what Flight School is.
Maybe just a bit of context about why it's important. If you talk to marketers for too long, you'll start to think that if you just add this new tool or change your website with one thing, or change a picture, or add a new social media channel, your business will just explode and you'll be happily ever after. And that's the problem with hanging out with marketers too much. They seem to think that marketing is the only thing. And that's maybe why marketers don't really end up in leadership positions all the time, and they get churned every 3 years from business. And I finally figured out once, and maybe I'll just share this story, is I was thinking about TELUS. If you think of all the challenges that the board members at TELUS have, right? Like 5G challenges, competition with the big three, customer satisfaction, trying to keep their call centers staffed, and new products to do. And imagine they're sitting around a board table and they got all these issues. There's just like endless things to talk about. And, and then they're like, well, we've all heard each other's thoughts on how to grow this thing and how to stand out. Let's bring the marketing team in, knowing that we just don't know what else to say about 5G and competition and products and customer satisfaction and staffing. And the marketing guy comes in and he's all probably wearing his comfortable clothing, and he's all, laid back because he's been working from home on the beach or something. And they're like, hey, what do you think TELUS needs to do? And the marketing guy goes, you know what? I think we need more pandas in our ads. And the board members are sitting there and be like, what? Okay, go back to the marketing guys, like wherever it is, and that's why marketers don't get invited to those parties, the board tables all the time. Because if you've been in business for more than 5 minutes, you know that while marketing is important, A one-liner is important. Your website's important. Cuddly pandas and your commercials are important. However, there are so many more components to running a business, right?
Absolutely.
And that's where flight school is so important, because Don's framework of running a business is kind of like flying a plane. You have all these different aspects. And the truth is that marketing is only one engine of your plane. There are so many other components, right? You can have an engine, but you also need a wing. And if you have a wing, you also need another wing. And then if you have wings and an engine, you should probably know where you're flying. And that's where the cockpit comes in. And that's, I think, so important to understand, is that business is so much bigger than just marketing. And we all know it. So why I like what flight school is offering is because it's really just a crash course. No, I shouldn't say crash course on flying a plane. That's one course I'm not signing up for, but it is a great step-by-step instruction on how to fly a plane like it's your business.
Right. Thank you for that. That's really cool. And like you, I resonate with a lot of what Don says and has said, StoryBrand, all this. And I'm really, I haven't taken the flight school yet. I will do that at some point. I really like the way he explains it in his summary, right? It's like your cockpit of the plane is your leadership, right? That's where the big decisions are made. Where are we going to fly? What altitude? All these different kinds of things, right? Your wings are, if I'm not mistaken, the products, right?
The products, you gotcha.
Products, right? And then your left engine, your right engine, I forget which. One's marketing, one's sales.
You still got it. You're sharp.
Your fuselage is your overhead, right? How many staff? How big of a location do you have? How many company vehicles and all that? How many company boats did you put through the company and all that, right? And then the fuel, of course, is your sales, right?
Yeah.
Fuel sales. Yeah, right. So all these have a place, and they all got to be in
like sales, but cash flow.
Making
sure you have cash and having a system, which is great for you as a financial advisor, right? Like helping people monitor, like, how much do I keep in the company? How much do I keep aside for taxes? How much do I keep aside for long-term investment opportunities that come up?
Absolutely.
And how much should we pay ourselves, right? Those are things that you help your clients with, because it's an essential part of running a business. If you try to fly a plane with no fuel, just like trying to run a business with no cash, it's not going to go anywhere.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so all these together, it makes a lot of sense, right? In terms of, if you don't have enough fuel, you're not going to get off the ground. If the body of the airplane's too big, right, you're not going to get off the ground, or you're going to, crash 100 meters down the runway. So all these things have to be in proportion. Most people haven't gone to business schools. So this gives people a really simple way to look at how to run their business in these different critical areas. There may be other things that they need to deal with, like legal isn't in there and other things like that, whatever. But these are the 6 key things of running a business that you got to get fairly well in order to be successful and hope to get to that eventual successful sale of the business. So that's really cool.
Cory, you keep saying that, even if you haven't been to business school, but the truth is, I just completed an MBA and I had to do flight school over again, because I had to realize, like, this is how it actually works on the ground, right? Like, you can learn all about case studies of how Toyota did their operations, and you could learn about the 4 Ps of marketing and how to do a mission statement. But there's something about a guy actually putting it on the ground in language you can understand, in a concise way. You can have your 3 years or 2 years or 1 year, however long it took you to do an MBA, but you forget a lot of stuff, right? And the stuff that you did even learn maybe is out of date. But that's why I love flight schools, because it's really easy to understand. It's a nice framework. You can have an MBA or some sort of degree, and you want to start a business with all your learnings. You buy a domain, make a little website, set up your desk all pretty, and then on day one, you're like, crap, I have no idea what I'm doing still. So I love the action steps that it takes. So it's not just the theory. It's like there's worksheets attached, and you actually have to write it all down and go through a system. And that's what an MBA just doesn't help you with.
Right. And I'm glad you say that. I haven't been to business school yet. I probably will at some point, only because it's part of my advancement in my career. But I don't think having an MBA is a requirement to being successful in business. There's lots of people who haven't that are very successful.
Say it actually hurts you.
Well, I don't mean to diminish it, but it doesn't necessarily help a lot of people. And, there's 2 books I keep thinking of. One is called something like Everything They Teach You in Harvard Business School. And the other one's like Everything They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School, something like that. So anyways, and there's different ways people learn, and not everyone can afford. I actually looked up the executive MBA courses recently, and, it's not unheard of to spend 60, 80, 100 and something thousand to try and get that degree. So not everyone has that. Whereas they could do flight school and get on the ground, real world examples and access to
Yeah,
this information.
totally.
I wanted to touch on something else too. You mentioned that you've been through flight school a couple times. Obviously, with my clients, I'm going to offer them whatever assistance I can because I have business experience too. I'm going to assist them that way. But you've offered to anyone that takes the flight school through your link, and we'll post that in a bit. You'll give them some coaching along with that in terms of helping them through that program. Is there anything more you can say about that to help people understand what they get into there?
Yeah, I would say it's essential to have somebody helping you. And the thing about flight school too is that they're going to open you up to a community. So Don himself will do a presentation every couple months or whatever, and then there's a weekly call where you can just jump in and say, "This is what I'm struggling with." Business leaders all over North America will say, "Yeah, me too." Some of the most comforting words in business are "me too," right? From other people. So you're going to be a part of a network, and there's the online component that goes on throughout the week. There's the accountability, but just as an extra thing, just because they have compensated me if I'm able to send somebody to flight school. And so I just want to pass on some of that value back to your people and offer coaching calls. I'll talk with you before to make sure you get the right start. And then I'll meet with people sometime in the middle if you're feeling frustrated or stuck or need a boost. I'm happy to do that as well for anyone that comes in through my link.
Cool. And just so people know, I don't take a cut of that. That's 100% Jon and StoryBrand, and they both earned the right to get paid for that and compensated. And I'm happy to refer. I wouldn't refer you, my client or my prospect or my lead, to Jon or to StoryBrand if I wasn't absolutely convinced it was 100% worth every moment of your time and every penny you put into that. So I just want to make that clear up front. We're coming towards the end of our time together. We're not quite there yet, but there's lots to what you do and how you can help people be more successful in their business. Is there anything else you want particularly to speak to that I maybe didn't think to ask or that you really want to share?
No, I mean, I think we've both expressed our heart for helping small businesses stay in the game. I think so many times when you're working hard, you forget that it's difficult at times. And sometimes you watch a social media post or something and think, "Oh, this should be so easy." But the truth is it's not. And we can help each other overcome some of the challenges because there is a great reward. I've seen it, I've tasted it, I've enjoyed it. And I want to help people get over some of those humps because the truth is, I remember going through some of the tough days and just being like, "Man, I feel like such a failure. I feel like such a failure. I'm not doing this right. I'm not growing this right." And then we sell a thing and everyone's like, "You're an entrepreneur success story." I'm like, I literally don't remember a single day that I felt successful until you just said that, because it just felt so difficult. Just to have people and a framework to go through. And that's the thing too, is we wake up every day and we feel like we're kind of faking it or just hoping that things will align for us that day. But hope is not a strategy.
Absolutely.
Right? It's just a feeling that you hope things get better, and they might if you apply the right strategy. So that's why I like flight school. I'm like you. I don't really just go out and promote anything unless I believe in it. And so when you asked if I'd come on and share about flight school, I was like, yeah, I was happy to take some time and just to chat and share however I can to add some value to your people. Because I know how you feel about your clients too and how important they are to you. So hopefully someone's been helped by this conversation.
For sure. And you said earlier that you joined this mastermind to promote or help them through an issue. I've been a part of masterminds before, and I actually today called a friend from that previous mastermind. I was like, "Hey, what are you doing? We need to mastermind again." He's like, "Yeah, okay, let's do that." Right. Part of what I like about what you shared is that it really is kind of like the mastermind in that sense. More minds are better, right? Obviously, there's the point of too many cooks, but people who care about you and who have the knowledge and the skills. That's why I bring people like yourself to the forefront, because there's something we can all learn and we can help each other. And there's power in bringing your ideas, bringing your challenges to other people and having them say, "Have you ever thought of this?" Or maybe you should try it. In fact, I keep meaning to mention this and I keep forgetting, but there's a book called Da Vinci and the 40 Answers. In a real nutshell, it's written by a guy. He's a literal rocket scientist named Mark Fox. I've met him. He's a great guy, very approachable. He did this research on Russian patents. They discovered that all the Russian patents that they looked at, there was only 40 different ways to do something. Whatever the product was or whatever, there's 40 different ways, right? So yeah, they turn it upside down, inside out, left, whatever. Just unscrew it, screw it the other way, There's really only 40 ways to do something, but we don't necessarily think of, well, I've tried these 2 ways and they didn't work. What am I going to do? There's lots of other ways, and other people's experiences and training all come to bear to help us.
Yeah.
So fantastic. I love it. I hope people really take advantage of the flight school, and I'm going to keep promoting it as we go along here too.
Yeah, we should probably say that it does cost something too. The cost is $2,900, and then there's also a payment plan that you can pay per month. If you think of the cost of an MBA versus this program, I think it's great. But yeah, there is $24.95 one-time payment, or 6 payments of $479.
Right, and that's US dollars, correct?
You betcha.
Yeah. Like you said, there's a payment plan, which is fantastic.
Value's there. Having done it myself and done an MBA, the value is totally there.
That's great to hear. And definitely way cheaper than an MBA. At the very least, the way I look at things, 2 things. One is invest in yourself. I tell my clients that, like, if your choice is invest in yourself and getting a better career or whatever, versus putting your money in the stock market, invest in yourself. Invest in yourself first. Second thing is, it is a much smaller investment. That investment could easily create the value and the income you need. If you still want to go to business school, it can create that income for you. So I look at investments that way too. Did you have a contact slide or a QR code or anything?
Yeah, I do have a link that maybe you could put out. I put it in the chat there. Some people watching this later won't be able to see that. Just go to getclear.ca. We've got it on the homepage, and I'm offering a free consultation call. If you want to talk more about flight school, I want to make sure you're prepared, that you feel like this is the right thing. So just go to my website. It'll be on the homepage to book a call, and we'll talk about flight school however you want. It's a great opportunity. Yeah, you bet.
Cool. Awesome. And thank you for that. So like you said, you're offering that for free. Take advantage of that. You spoke earlier about what a free offer did for your business and how it helped other businesses. So please, folks, take advantage of that. Nothing better than something of real value that you can access for free and turn into even more value in your life. So fantastic. I think we've really covered all the bases. So please get a hold of Jon at getclear.ca. If folks scan that QR code, they can get a free discovery call with me to find out if we're a good fit to work together. I'll be the first one to tell you, I'm not everyone's cup of tea or a bottle of bourbon, whatever the case may be. If we're not a good fit to work together, I'm not offended. I hope you're not. I will certainly point you to some other people that may be a better fit for you. Please get a hold of me. We can have a chat and see what your needs are and where I can point you, how I can help you out, and we'll go from there. Otherwise, we're back next Tuesday for another episode of Open Office Hours, which was Jon's idea. It's been fantastic for me, Jon. I thought that it would be a lot more uncomfortable and a lot more nerve-wracking than it is. The hardest part is, like I mentioned to you before we started, that my computer isn't working properly. So I have to buy a new one to do all these things. But the idea of the Open Office Hours has been fantastic. That was Jon's idea.
Great to hear.
And I'm so grateful to you for that. So we'll see everyone else next week. And Jon, thanks so much for your time. I'll let you get back to your family. All right. Take care.
Pleasure.